The Formula One driver market appears set to hinge on the fortunes of two men at the moment, Sebastian Vettel and Daniel Ricciardo. And it's Ricciardo's fortunes we want to focus on today. And joining me, Glenn Freeman, to talk about what could happen are Scott Mitchell and Ed Straw. Ed, let's crack straight on with Ricciardo. Amongst everything that's going on at the moment, is he perhaps the man sweating the most on how the driver market plays out for next year?
He's certainly the one whose best laid plans have been most disrupted by this situation. Doing that 2-year Renault deal lined him up nicely for a potential big move for a driver market shake-up for 2021, but the pandemic has changed everything. The fact next season is now a continuation, effectively, with the carryover of the cars means continuity is at even more of a premium. So the percentage chance of him moving has been reduced. He still has some power. He's a high-class driver. He's available, and that will always be of some value, but his chances of a big drive have been dented. He's also got the added complication that he'll be trying to sort out what might be called a holding pattern situation. He'll want a high-value 1-year contract if he's got to stay with a midfield team. But of course, in the position he's in, it might be difficult to get a 1-year deal of that nature. But he'll want to kind of recreate in 2022 what he should have had for the 2021 driver market. So from both sides, this is a much more difficult situation for him.
And of course, we know he's on a lot of money at the moment as well. Now, Scott, where does Vettel fit into this? We hear all kinds of rumours coming from Italy, really, about how his negotiations with Ferrari are going. Is there a realistic chance of that seat becoming available? And if it is it likely that Ricciardo would be at the front of the queue for it?
I think it is realistic because Vettel is out of contract at the end of this year. He was beaten by Charles Leclerc in 2019 in Leclerc's first year at Ferrari, and his star is not exactly on the rise, is it, after mistakes over the last couple of years. So it seems odd to talk about a 4-time world champion as a driver whose future is in question. But when I asked Vettel recently what sort of length contract he wants, because he's used to 3-year deals, and he mentioned a 3-year deal. Sort of hinted that was his preference, but he said that it needs to be something that him and Ferrari are both comfortable with. And yeah, if you believe the rumours coming from Italy and Germany as well, all is not perhaps rosy between Ferrari and Vettel. So I would be surprised if Vettel does leave for Ferrari. I think he's a good fit. I think it works for him, for the team, and for Leclerc. But he is out of contract, so the possibility is there, and Ricciardo has got to be top of the queue, front of the queue for Ferrari to replace him. If they want an absolute top-line operator, it's very, very rare that things line up this way, where you lose someone mega like Vettel, but you've got someone like Ricciardo who could be available as well. It's not just a simple, who do we get as the best number two? I would be very, very surprised if Vettel is really potentially on his way out of Ferrari. Ferrari must be considering Ricciardo to replace him.
Now, Ed, let's consider if this doesn't work out for Ricciardo and he does end up either stuck at Renault or looking around at other midfield drives. If it doesn't work out for him now, is he potentially in a situation where he becomes a perennial midfield driver and any chance he had of another top team drive is gone?
It would unquestionably be a setback because it would be another year wasted. He's turning 31 this year, so he still has some time on his side, but as he's pointed out before, the clock is ticking. What has been really screwed up for him is that a big part of the rationale for moving to Renault was that there were two paths. There was either Renault fulfills its potential, it's on a trajectory that will allow him to win races and fight for championships, or if that doesn't happen, then he's in the mix for this 2021 driver market shake-up. But chances are, and there's still a small percentage chance that it could go his way in terms of the driver market, but that rationale has been massively undermined. So it renders what was already a risky move into potentially a very bad one due to circumstances Ricciardo could not possibly have foreseen.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that it's necessarily conclusive proof that the gamble has failed. Ricciardo didn't really buy into the Red Bull Honda project. I think it was quite clear, even though he still won't really admit it, it's quite clear that he obviously didn't fully fancy going up against Verstappen in a Red Bull team geared around Verstappen. Renault's star was on the rise. I can see why he did it. I still think if you look back, maybe he will find ways to justify it. But I think if all the other avenues are closed, if Renault doesn't improve, if someone like McLaren doesn't emerge as a potential saviour, then in terms of fighting for wins and maybe titles, I would have to sort of reluctantly say that Ricciardo did ultimately make a mistake when he left Red Bull for Renault.
Yeah, it's very, very difficult to judge, isn't it? There was plenty of logic around the decision he made at the time, but it would appear now that unless talks between Ferrari and Vettel break down, then Ricciardo's fate might be set for some time to come. Now, we want to know what you think is going to happen next in the F1 driver market, and let us know if you think Ricciardo made a mistake. Should he have stuck it out at Red Bull and tried to keep winning races and taken on Verstappen as Verstappen tried to build that team around him? Let us know in the comments. Make sure you give this video a like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't already. And of course, stay home, stay safe, and we'll talk to you very soon.